Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. It's Tori and I am so excited to get to the part of the year where I get to talk about the books that I'd really like to read in 2024. TBRs are something that I don't strictly adhere to, so everything that I have pulled for this video is very much flexible. But most of what I'm pulling from my shelves to talk to you guys about that I'd really like to get to in 2024 are books that have been sitting around for a while that I've been really wanting to read and just haven't prioritized time for. There's going to be more than 24 books on this list because I am counting several groups of books, like a trilogy or a stack of similar books, as kind of one entry. So I'm just going to go through these. I'm not going to give a synopsis of everything I'm going to be reading because then we would be here for 2 hours, but I'm excited to share these with you guys, and I definitely want to know down in the comments below what your lists for 2024 look like. If you're a total mood reader, that's awesome. If you do have some ideas of what you'd like to get to here next year, please let me know down in the comments. So the first category that I want to start with is classics. And classics are something that, to me, are something I get in this headspace every great once in a while where I get really excited to read a classic. And one of the goals that I have for myself as of kind of last year is that I'd really like to read not an intimidating classic, but a slightly longer classic, at least one every year. This year, and it's cracking me up that this is going to be the first book on my list, I'm kind of leaning towards trying to read War and Peace. I honestly am pretty excited about it. I've heard really good things, and I know that this book gets a pretty crazy reputation for being something that everybody's always intimidated or afraid to start. But honestly, having read Shogun, which is a 1,200-page novel, I think I have a better idea of how to break it up and make it easier to digest and not feel like I need to rush through it at the same pace that I read a lot of my other books. And I'm really excited about it. So we'll see if it happens, but I'm actually getting more and more excited the more I think about it. The other classics that I have on my list that I'd like to get to this year are definitely a lot shorter. We're going to go to the opposite end of Tolstoy with The Death of Ivan Ilyich. And this one, as you can see, is an absolutely tiny little book, and I've heard, again, great things about this, and it'll probably be a taste test that I do before I go into War and Peace, but I'd really like to get through that one in 2024 as well. The other two classics on this list are Till We Have Faces by C.S. Lewis. This is a story that C.S. Lewis wrote as a mythical retelling of Cupid and Psyche, which I can't imagine C.S. Lewis writing a Greek mythology retelling, so I'm really excited to read this. I've heard great things. And then the other one that I have on my list is another short one that I've been wanting to read for quite a while, and that is Lord of the Flies by William Golding. This one is one that a lot of people were required to read back in school years. I wasn't, and so I'm looking forward to checking this out. I heard it's really crazy and weird and wild and a little bit horrific, and I'm definitely looking forward to crossing that off of my classic bucket list. Now, on top of that, these kind of fit into the classics category as well. I read The Outsiders this year in 2023 and loved it so much. I've been a huge fan of the film for ages, and the book did not disappoint. S.E. Hinton, I think, was just an incredible author for her age and her time period, and really understood so much about people and friendships and bonds, and that's something that I really like about her work. I did also read That Was Then, This Is Now, which is another one of her books, and I went ahead and picked up 3 more of her books. I have Rumblefish, Tex, and Hawks Harbor. These are all books by S.E. Hinton that I would really like to get to this year. Again, as you can see, they're very short, so it was not going to take me much to get through them. I just want to make sure that I prioritize books by her this next year and see if The Outsiders still remains my top favorite. I'll be really shocked if it gets dethroned by anything else, but I am looking forward to seeing what else she's written. Now let's take a swerve away to historical fiction. This is another genre that I have loved for a very long time, and honestly, I could have pulled probably 5 to 10 books in this category as well, so please understand that this is not exhaustive, and there will be other historical fiction books that I am eyeing up for 2024. But two of the ones that I've been kind of eyeballing on the shelf for a while are Matthew Harvey's A Time of Swords. This is book 1 in his Bernicia Chronicles, and it's about a monk who becomes a warrior. That was kind of the pitch that I was given, and I can't tell you how excited I am about that. So I'm really looking forward to checking this out. I have read one of Matthew Harvey's historical fiction books previous to this and really enjoyed it, so I'm looking forward to checking this one out. And the other one is a historical fiction author that I have been inspired by and in awe of for a very long time, and that is Jeff Shara. And the one that I picked up is To Wake the Giant, which is a novel about Pearl Harbor, and that is a time period that I grew up listening to a lot of stories about World War II, and especially Pearl Harbor was an area or time period of interest in that. I think that Jeff Shara is going to do a great job finding the humanity in the horrific, which he often does in his historical fiction books. And yeah, I just think it's going to be a really well done book, and I'm excited to check it out. Moving on to translated literature and just kind of non-Western lit in general. This is a set of books that I pulled off my shelves because I've had them sitting there for quite a while, and I want to do a bit of reading in Japanese translated fiction this year. And I have a little group of books here by various authors. How Do You Live by Genzaburo Yoshino, If Cats Disappeared from the World by Genki Kawamura, Heaven by Mieko Kawakami, which is one that I've heard a lot of incredible things about, The Housekeeper and the Professor by Yoko Ogawa. And then the last one is a little bit of a classic. This is Yasunari Kawabata's Thousand Cranes. So it's just a bunch of books that I've kind of collected over 2023 that I've really been excited to dip into and read. They're all going to be a little bit shorter, which I desperately need in between the giant fantasy series that I read, and I just always think it's so insightful and interesting to read translated works from other cultures. So I'm hoping to take a little bit of a trip to Japan in those books this year. And continuing that thought, I did grab a couple of manga series. So manga is something, despite how obsessed with anime I was when I was in high school, manga is something that I don't have as much experience with, and I kind of wanted to change that. So I've been collecting a couple of series. Rurouni Kenshin, the anime series, and the live adaptation films are some of my favorite stories ever, and I am very excited to read some of the manga at some point. I do have those over here behind me, but the two besides that I pulled were, I purchased the first 3 omnibus editions of Vagabond, which was one that I know Philip Chase and Murphy Napier read here in 2023 and really enjoyed. I can't wait to read these. I think this is going to be absolutely right up my alley in terms of what I love, and especially after reading Shogun and just really being kind of immersed in that time period and that story. I think Vagabond is going to be an amazing experience this year. The other manga that I picked up was Omnibus 1 for Blade of the Immortal by Hiroaki Samura. This one I don't know as much about, but based on the blurb and just a little bit of what I've been hearing about it, it sounded really fascinating, and again, it kind of fits in with that kind of theme that I'm interested in reading right now. I'm very excited to check these out and see if I can get into some manga this year. I think that's going to be really fun. We are now at the part of the video where I had to figure out what fantasy I was going to talk about on my 2024 anticipation list, and it was a bit of a task. And again, I want to stress, this is not exhaustive. There are so many books on my shelves in the fantasy genre that I intend to get to this year. There's so many. Hopefully, I'll be able to get to all of them and a whole bunch more this year. So the first one is obviously Memories of Ice. So I do plan on finishing Dead House Gates, which is book 2 in the Malazan Book of the Fallen, here by the end of the year in 2023, which would land me on Memories of Ice going into 2024. So I don't know if I can commit to saying I want to finish Malazan in 2024, but I do intend to get a pretty good chunk of the way, if not all the way through this series. Memories of Ice is just gonna be step one. So there are 10 books in the Book of the Fallen, and of course many others written by Erikson's co-creators Ian C. Eslamont and more by Erikson. So there are more books in the world after finishing Book of the Fallen, but this year specifically my goal is to get as far through Malazan as I possibly can. Another massive pillar of the science fiction fantasy genre that I intend to get through to in 2024 is Dune by Frank Herbert. This is a book that I don't know where I'm going to land on this, and I think that's been the sentiment I've been hearing from a lot of my friends that have read the book. They honestly, most of them don't know where I'm going to land in liking or disliking Dune, but I really want to give it a shot, and I'm excited to dip back into some classic style science fiction fantasy. And I also have this beautiful edition, which is another great excuse to get to this. So yeah, that one is definitely on my high priority TBR for next year and is going to be, I think, one of my for sure reads. After that, this is a book that I was told a long time ago that I would really love, and it's just been sitting. I have a lot of those. It's like the 5 stars in the wings kind of books where I anticipate absolutely loving these books, and I just did not get to them in 2023. And the first one of those is Blood Song by Anthony Ryan. I think that this is a coming of age, young man becoming a warrior kind of story, and I have heard nothing but amazing things about it, and everybody thinks I'm going to love this book. So I'm hoping to get to this one in 2024 because honestly it's been far too long in coming. This one is for my dear friend Kay's Hidden Shelf, who has been begging me to read this book since early 2023, late 2022, and I completely understand why. And this is another book that I am 95% sure I'm going to absolutely love the heck out of, and that is Nomads of the Sea by Kobe Zucker. This is a military fantasy that takes place with a seafaring people, which is very, very cool, and I've just heard nothing but incredible things about this book, and that it is highly underrated in the indie fantasy community, and I'm really looking forward to it. This is a book that this is, of everything on this list, I'm probably the most shocked I haven't gotten to this one yet because I do desperately want to read it, and it is happening in 2024, early in 2024, and I don't care what I have to do to prioritize this, I'm gonna read it. Similarly, in the indie space, another book I cannot believe I haven't read yet is The Sword of Kaigan by M.L. Wong. This book is many people's favorite indie fantasy of all time. It is a mother-son duo who are walking the path of a warrior, desperately wanting peace, and I've heard that it's incredible. It was a self-published fantasy blog off competition winner back in, like, I don't know, 2018 I think. But this is another one that I'm pretty sure I'm going to absolutely be head over heels for. I cannot believe I haven't read it yet, and it is another one that is very, very high on my priority TBR for 2024. Next up, this one is kind of a palate cleanser that I'm throwing on this list because this is another one that I've looked forward to reading for a long time, and I just think is going to be a great, fun entertainment read for me, and that is R.A. Salvatore's Homeland, which is the first Drizzt book. I have zero experience with R.A. Salvatore, with his world, with this character, but everything that I've been hearing tells me that there's a very good chance I will get along with Drizzt pretty well, so I'm really looking forward to that. And I think this is going to have a great dark classic fantasy vibe, and I'm just absolutely here for that. Next up is The Hobbit. Now I have a very particular reason for reading this specifically this year because I will be turning 33 in May of 2024, and what better time to read The Hobbit for the first time than on your 33rd birthday, if you haven't already, which I'm one of those people who didn't grow up having Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit read to them, and so I still have not actually read the books. And I'm looking forward to reading The Hobbit. I think it's going to be a heartwarming comfort read this year, and I'm really looking forward to dipping into Tolkien's written world. I have tried reading Lord of the Rings before. I've DNF'd it multiple times because I keep getting to Tom Bombadil and just it throws me off every time and I never continue. So I'm hoping to remedy that in the future, but at least this year I am definitely going to get through The Hobbit. Next up is a series that I'm just kind of counting as one, and that is the Collation Saga by my good friend Andrew D. Meredith. So I have read book 1, which is Deathless Beast, and I still have Bone Shroud book 2 and Gloves of Eons recently released book 3, and I know that he is currently working on book 4, so I would really like to catch these up so that I am up to date when book 4 comes out and I can read it right away on release. I'm really excited about these. Andrew's world building and just the depth that he reaches with his characters and his themes and the world as an incredible character of its own is really fun to read, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the events of book 1 continue on into the rest of the series. So these are definitely high on my TBR for early 2024. Another indie series that I'd really love to start next year is The Echoes Saga by Philip C. Quaintrell. This is a series that I was really hoping to get to in 2023 and it just did not happen. This is a much beloved and widely selling series in the indie fantasy community and I'm really excited. I know that it has a kind of classic vibes. We've got a ranger as like the pillar character from what I understand of the series, and I think that that's going to be just a great, solid, grounding read for me this year. I don't know why, but classics are really calling me this year, so I think I would definitely like to read a bunch of fantasy that is classic and also has that kind of a vibe but brought in for a modern audience. Then I have a trilogy that I was, again, prioritizing here in 2023 and it never happened and I'm still mad about it. And that is Robin Hobb's Live Ship Traders, starting with Ship of Magic. This trilogy comes after the Farseer trilogy, which is the first installment of the Realm of the Elderlings, and then we have the Live Ship Traders, which goes into a different place with different characters, different storyline, but it's all in the same world, and from what I understand, ties all together toward the end of the series as a whole. And a lot of people have been eagerly waiting for me to read these because I've been hearing that these are going to check a lot of boxes for me and that I'm probably going to adore them, which I'm here, I'm ready. I am so ready to be emotionally destroyed by Queen Robin Hobb once again because I loved her character work so much in Farseer, and it's one of those series that just kind of stays with you for a long time even after you've read it. And I look forward to hopefully repeating that experience with the Live Ship Traders. This is another series that I did not grow up reading. I grew up later on in my high school career just being really influenced by the films and the story and the characters in general, but I've never read the books, and that's something that I want to remedy in 2024. So I am really looking forward to seeing how reading the books just deepens my appreciation for the characters in the world. That's what I'm hoping for. I think that these are going to be a very easily bingeable series for me to get through, and it's going to be a great comfort read, and I'm really looking forward to it. Last but not least, I know this is probably the book that everybody has been waiting to see me hold up since the beginning of this video, and that, of course, is Iron Gold and the rest of the Red Rising saga. So it's not a secret that Red Rising, the original 3 books, is my favorite fantasy trilogy series of all time. I love it so much. If I had to go on a deserted island and only take one series, it would be that one. I still haven't read the subsequent series of Iron Gold, Dark Age, Lightbringer, and Red God, which hopefully will be coming out next year. And I'm so ready to go back to this world and these characters, you guys. I can't even tell you how excited I am to finally get into this series and finish it. I would love to start my year with Iron Gold. Pierce Brown's writing is something that I find it's like going home. It just checks so many of the boxes of things that I absolutely love to read, and Red Rising, the original trilogy, has meant so much to me as a reader, as a writer. I promise you that 2024 is going to be the year where I finish reading the Red Rising saga, the rest of the story, as it were. So, oh my goodness, I just threw a lot of books at you guys, and I have stacks of books everywhere that now I have to put back on my shelf. So, I would love to know again down in the comments what books you guys are most excited to read in 2024, or if you're just going to mood read your way through the next year, that is also awesome. Let me know down in the comments. You guys are amazing. I hope you are having a fantastic week. I hope you're reading 5-star reads, and I'll see you in the next video.